So I've been hearing a lot of good stuff about this movie. So after checking it out not once, but twice, I'm ready to talk about it. So Spell is a movie starring Omari Hardwick, who's a very successful partner at a respected firm, and he doesn't shy away from letting you know this throughout the movie because he comes from very humble beginnings. But one day he gets the news that his estranged father has passed, so he packs up his family, takes his private plane, and flies up to handle the final arrangement. While they're en route, the plane hits a very bad storm, which causes the plane to go down, and Omari wakes up in the attic of a hoodoo practitioner played by Loretta Devine, and he soon realizes that he's being held captive, so he has to figure out how to escape and save his family before this blood moon ritual that she keeps speaking about. Now that you got the plot of the movie, let's talk about the acting. For starters, Omari Hardwick and Loretta Devine both killed this movie. Omari spends a lot of time in this movie by himself, so it's really good to show that he can hold his own, because I just expected him to be Ghost. I mean, the movie started out, he's in a suit, he's well spoken, he's smart, he's successful, so I instantly thought Ghost. And don't be surprised if I call him Ghost a couple times throughout this movie, but he showed that he wasn't Ghost in this movie. He was just a successful family man who was desperate, but he also was very smart and witty, and he had to figure things out or it's gonna cost him his life. Loretta Devine was also phenomenal on screen. This movie doesn't have a lot of characters in it, but when her or Omari were on screen, they definitely stole the show. And there was a lot of times where they were the only two on screen, and the dynamic between the two and the game of cat and mouse that they were playing back and forth, like trying not to show too much of their hand, but also letting you know that I know something is up, or in Loretta's case, like not trying to show too much of my hand, but I know that you kind of know, but let me go ahead and play this sweet, innocent, loving backwoods woman so I can keep you right here until I'm ready to do what I need to do. Outside of those two, there wasn't really too many standout performances. Actually, there weren't any other standout performances in this movie, because like I said, there weren't a lot of people in it. And Loretta and Omari was so good that when they were on screen with other people, they kind of showed that the other people couldn't stand up to them. They kind of, I don't want to say they diminished their skill, but they definitely highlighted how much better they were than the people around them. The pacing of this movie wasn't a problem at all. The movie is just shy of an hour and a half, so there's always something going on. I mean, from the time that they introduced the movie to him waking up in the attic is only a span of maybe 15 minutes. So from that point forward, you're having to deal with him being a captive and him trying to get everything taken care of. Now, this movie is listed as a horror movie, but I think it's more of a thriller movie, because there were a lot of times I was on the edge of my seat, or I was biting my nails, or like really trying to see if he's gonna get caught, like heart pounding in my chest. And there were some scary aspects, but when I think horror movie, I think like jump scares and, you know, monsters and things of that nature. But in this movie, like I said, it was just more of a thriller than it was a horror movie. The visuals was another thing I enjoyed in this movie. This movie isn't shot in a lot of different locations, so the camera work had to get creative, and I think they did, using the angles and the lighting and different plays on different expressions that the actors would make to make this movie really come alive more than what it was, because like I said, it was really relegated to only a couple of rooms throughout the whole movie. And outside of that, it has a couple of gore factors in here, and I love me some good gore. And I'm not saying this is a gore fest, it's not a movie that's just trying to go out like an Eli Roth type movie, but it has moments in there that when they do it, they go all in, and a couple times it has you shivering or like you want to look away, but in my case I couldn't. I loved it. Now that we got the good stuff out the way, I want to talk about the things that I didn't like in this movie, and the main thing I didn't like was the writing. Now earlier I mentioned how like Omari and Loretta would like diminish other people's skill when they were on screen, but I feel like the writing didn't help. It was giving such corny and generic one-liners to the side characters that they really didn't give you any meat. And outside of that, the movie, like I said, is like less than 90 minutes, so I want more backstory. They give us a little bit of flashbacks from Omari's childhood to show why he is the way he is, but it goes nowhere. It doesn't expand on it, and it doesn't give us enough to understand. All we see is that his father was abusive in backwoods country. And then you take Loretta. She is this hoodoo lady up in these mountains that everyone in the surrounding area seems to know so much about and fears her so much. And she obviously is really good at what she does, because she's been doing this for a long time. And they don't explain to us where she comes from. They don't explain to us why she's doing it. I mean, you kind of get an idea that she's doing it to help the people in her community, but why? When did it start? How did she figure this out? How did she get into hoodoo? What is hoodoo? And from my understanding and my brief research, hoodoo is different from voodoo, because voodoo is actually a religion, and hoodoo is a practice by a shaman or a spiritual person who thinks they can heal through spiritualistic practices and magic. And besides the writing seeming lazy for the side characters and also not giving us any backstory on any of the main characters to give us more meat for the plot of the story, I also hated how overacted the country accents were. I'm from a small town. I know a lot of country people with some thick accents, and when I'm around certain people, I can hear that I sound pretty country myself. But in this movie, they were overdoing it. Like, for instance, the sheriff would literally talk like, "What y'all doing round these parts?" Like, come on, man, ain't nobody that country. And it was like that a lot of times. Even in Loretta's case, sometimes she would say lines, I'm like, that sounds overemphasized with the country accent. It don't sound natural at all. And for the side characters, if there are people who don't have major roles, why not just find some actual people with some southern accents and put them in the movie? I mean, these people only had a handful of lines, and I think that would have added to the movie itself, at least for people like me, because I'm pretty sure most people didn't notice that, but being around country people a lot, that really bothered me. But overall, I have to say Spell was a really good movie. Omari and Loretta kill it. The visuals are great, and I love the little gory scenes, plus the suspense and the build up and the tension and the cat and mouse game that's going on throughout the movie. I don't think they gave us enough backstory, and I feel like the payoff was rushed, but overall, I think it was a great movie, especially something that came out on video on demand. So with all that being said, I'd have to rate this movie a midday matinee. Alright, so that's it for this review, folks. So for the comment combo today, I want y'all to let me know, did y'all want more backstory or not? Or was the movie fine just like it was? Whatever you think, comment below and let me know. Now, as always, if you liked this movie and you thought it rocked, like, comment, and subscribe to see more from me, Mike Proc. Later.